The lab was quiet except for the hum of machines. Dr. Aaron Blake leaned over his console, his eyes heavy from working all night. He was a young human scientist, sent to this remote outpost to study alien biology. He thought today would be just another normal research day, but then the red light blinked above the stasis chamber, and the warning siren beeped once. Sharp and sudden, the chamber door hissed open slowly. A white mist rolled out and touched the floor like a living thing. And then she stepped out. She was tall, glowing faintly blue. Her skin smooth like polished glass. Her eyes were silver, and her hair floated as if underwater she wore only a strange medical wrap around her body. She looked at Aaron and tilted her head gently. Then she spoke in perfect English. "Are you the male I have been assigned to?" Aaron froze. He didn't understand what she meant. Assigned? He asked, his voice cracking a little. She stepped closer, walking barefoot like a shadow. "Yes," she said calmly. "I was told you are my pair bond." "I what?" Aaron stuttered, trying to hide his confusion. He looked at the console. Screen, the scan report was blinking in red. Species, unknown female, standard configuration. With a third? And then it glitched, cutting off the sentence, "A third." What? Aaron swallowed hard and backed away slowly. "This has to be a mistake," he whispered. But the girl no. The alien walked up to him with soft steps. "My name is Virai," she said, her voice smooth and strange. "I have been awakened for the bonding protocol." He shook his head. No. I'm just a researcher. I study DNA. I don't do bonding." Virai blinked. "Confused? I was told that human male would prepare me, understand me, and accept the merge." Aaron nearly dropped his tablet. Merge? What merge? He ran to the console and tried to call the base commander, but the signal was jammed. Connection blocked, the AI voice said flatly. Then another message popped on the screen. "Do not touch the subject. You are not cleared." For what she carries inside, Aaron stared at the warning. Cold sweat forming on his forehead. He turned slowly, and Virai was still standing there. Watching him, "I do not wish to harm you," she said softly. "But you must not delay the process too long." Aaron backed into the wall. "Listen, Virai. I don't know what you were told, but I'm not the right person for this." She looked disappointed. "I thought humans were curious." She said, "You are not curious about my third attribute." Aaron coughed. "I mean, maybe a little, but not like that." Virai stepped closer. She raised her hand, and for a second, a glowing symbol appeared on her palm. It pulsed like a heartbeat. "I do not understand shame." She said, "If it helps, I can reveal no." Aaron interrupted quickly, waving his hands. "Please don't reveal anything. Not now, not here." She lowered her hand, tilting her head again. "You are strange," she said. "All data said human males are highly reactive." He groaned. Sliding down the wall into a sitting position, "This has to be a dream," he whispered to himself. But everything felt too real, too strange, too alive. Virai knelt down in front of him. "Then let us start slow," she said. "Do you wish to eat? My body can copy your diet." He looked up at her in disbelief. "You're glowing, talking about bonding, and asking about lunch." She smiled faintly. "That means your heart rate is returning to normal." He blinked, realizing his breathing had slowed. There was something oddly calming about her presence. Still, the screen behind her blinked again. That same phrase appeared, incomplete but haunting. A third. Aaron knew he had to find out what that meant, but he also knew something. Deep in his gut, whatever it was, it would change everything. And maybe even himself. Aaron didn't sleep that night every time he closed his eyes. He saw her VA standing beside the chamber, glowing in the dark like some forgotten star. He kept staring at the scan report, trying to guess what the third could mean, But no matter how many times he rebooted the system, the data always stopped at the same strange place. It was as if someone, or something, had redacted the full truth. When the lights flickered again at midnight, he thought it was just a power glitch. But then he heard a soft sound, bare feet walking on metal floor tiles. He turned his head slowly, and there she was again. Viri stood in the doorway, watching him like a cat watches a cornered mouse. Her silver eyes shone like twin moons. "You? Breathe loud and sleep," she said softly. "Does this mean you are dreaming of me?" Aaron nearly choked on his coffee. He sat up fast and cleared his throat, trying not to look like a scared child. "I wasn't asleep," he said quickly, "and no, I wasn't dreaming of you." Viri stepped closer, tilting her head again like before. "Strange," she said, "in our culture. Dreaming of your pair means readiness." He rubbed his forehead, wondering if he was trapped in some weird alien reality show. "Look, Viri, we need to talk about this bonding idea," he said. "I think there's been a mistake." She sat down cross-legged on the floor, perfectly balanced, her glowing body reflecting the blue light from the console. "I was grown for this," she said plainly. "You are not the first human male assigned to me that made him freeze." "What happened to the others?" he asked slowly. She looked away for the first time. "They didn't last long," she said, almost like a whisper. "Their minds resisted." Aaron's heart skipped a beat. "Resisted what?" he asked, already scared of the answer. She reached out and lightly touched the wall. The metal shimmered, and a holographic screen blinked to life. It showed files, heavily encrypted ones, marked as alpha clearance only. Before Aaron could react, a single line of text appeared. "Bonding complete. Subject 7, neurological collapse. Time of death, 23 minutes post-merge." He jumped to his feet. "Okay, no, this is wrong," he said, panic rising in his chest. "I'm not doing any merging or bonding or whatever this is." Viri stood too, her glowing outline now dimmer. "I do not wish to harm you," she said gently, "but the process has already begun." Aaron backed away until he hit the wall again. "What do you mean?" "I didn't agree to anything." She nodded. "You shared energy with me when you looked into my eyes for too long. That is how synchronization begins in my kind." He closed his eyes and groaned. "Of course it does," he muttered. "Why? Wouldn't it be that easy?" When he opened his eyes, she was closer, much closer. So close he could feel a strange warmth coming off her skin. She didn't blink as she studied his face. "Do you feel the pulse?" she asked. He realized then that his chest was throbbing gently. A soft rhythm that didn't feel like his own heartbeat. It felt shared. "I don't like this," he whispered. "I didn't sign up for this." "I know," she replied. "Neither did I." Her voice broke slightly. It was the first time she sounded less like a programmed diplomat and more like a real person. Aaron stared at her, trying to read her expression. But before he could ask more, the lights in the room flickered off completely. The emergency lights blinked on in red. Then a robotic voice echoed through the base. "Containment breach detected. Zone 3. All staff return to quarters." "Repeat. Containment breach." Viri stepped in front of him protectively. "Don't move," she said sharply, her glow intensifying again. "What's going on?" Aaron whispered. "They've come for me," she said, "but I won't let them take me alone." The door slammed shut, locking them inside. Aaron looked around, unsure if this was real or just another hallucination. He felt a strange pressure building in his ears. Viri turned to him with something new in her expression: fear. "You have to trust me now," she said. "Even if you don't understand me yet." Aaron took a deep breath. He was scared, confused, and lost. But deep inside, something in him whispered that this wasn't just about science anymore. This was something ancient, something primal. And Viri was at the center of it, whatever the third was. He wasn't ready to know, but it was already part of him. The room had no windows, and now no lights. Only the emergency glow reflected off the smooth walls. Aaron stood frozen, while Viri stood in front of him, motionless like a statue. He could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears, but beneath there was something else, a second pulse, softer, faster, and definitely not his own. It was coming from her. Viri didn't speak for several long seconds. Her silver eyes stared straight at the sealed door. Then her skin shimmered like ripples on a calm pond, and a strange symbol appeared on her neck. Aaron stepped back slowly. "What is that?" he whispered. She didn't look at him when she answered, "It means I'm no longer alone." Before Aaron could ask what she meant, something in the ceiling sparked. A tiny drone dropped into the room with a sharp hiss. It hovered silently, its lens focusing directly on Viri. Aaron recognized it immediately. It was a restraint-class observation drone. They only used them when someone was dangerous, or when something unknown needed to be stopped. The drone projected a voice, flat and artificial. "Subject 9VI is to be isolated. Do not resist." Viri's glow intensified, the air in the room. Change became heavier, warmer. Aaron felt like he was breathing steam. Suddenly, Viri looked over her shoulder directly at him. "I need you to stay calm, Aaron," she said. "He's waking up now." Aaron blinked, confused. "Who's waking up?" She placed her hand on her own chest and said quietly, "The other one inside me." The drone moved forward slowly, extending tiny arms. Viri raised her hand and the entire drone froze mid-air. Its lights flickered, then dimmed, and then, in the silence, Aaron heard something that made his stomach twist. It was his own voice, but not from him. It was echoing from Viri's mouth. "I don't want to hurt you," the voice said in perfect imitation. Viri collapsed to her knees, holding her head with both hands. Her voice changed again, this time deeper, older, too fast, too soon. "The merge isn't ready." Aaron rushed toward her, not knowing what else to do. "Viri, can you hear me?" he shouted. Her body shuddered and her glowing skin began to flicker like a broken screen. She looked up at him, but her eyes were no longer silver. They were black, completely black, with no light inside. She smiled slowly, but it wasn't her smile. "You're stronger than the others," the voice said. "That's why you were chosen." Aaron backed away, his hands shaking. "This isn't happening," he muttered. "This isn't real." "Oh, it's real," the voice replied. "And you're more like us than you know." Vira's body suddenly went limp, collapsing into Aaron's arms. Her skin was burning hot, her breathing shallow. He laid her down carefully, unsure if she was even conscious. The symbol on her neck faded, replaced by a strange new mark, a spiral, shifting shape on its own. Then the lights in the room blinked back to life. The sealed door hissed open, but no guards entered, only silence. Aaron didn't move. He knew something big had just changed, but he didn't understand what. Viri's eyes fluttered open slowly, her voice weak. "I told you not to look too deep," she said, "but now—" "You've seen him?" Aaron whispered. "Who is he?" She looked at him, expression unreadable. "The third part," she said, "the mind that should not exist." He stared at her, and something cold crept down his spine. He remembered the files, the past subjects who didn't survive, not because of injury, but because something got inside their thoughts, something that spoke like them, moved through their memories, something now awake inside her, and maybe already inside him, too. He reached for his communicator, but it sparked uselessly. Viri shook her head slowly. "You can't contact anyone," she said. "They already know." "Know what?" He asked. "That the merge is no longer limited to just me," she whispered. "You're already part of it." Aaron didn't know what to say. He looked at his hands. At his reflection in the console screen, his pupils were no longer normal. They had started to darken around the edges and deep within his mind. Something unfamiliar had begun whispering back. Asterisk, the door had opened, but Aaron didn't step through it. He stared at his reflection in the glossy floor tiles. His pupils were still dark at the edges. He blinked hard, once, twice, hoping they would return to normal, but the darkness stayed. Behind him, Viri lay on the floor, breathing softly, her glow dim like a fading light. He had never seen her look so human. He stood up, hesitated, then scooped her gently into his arms. She didn't resist, didn't even move. Her skin felt warm again, but not burning like before. It was like she was rebooting, sleeping off whatever had tried to control her. Whatever had spoken through her, he carried her down the hallway. The walls of the research facility felt colder now. The lights didn't flicker. But the silence was heavy. Every door they passed remained shut. There were no footsteps, no voices, no alarms. Just quiet and natural, waiting, when Aaron reached the medical wing. The door opened with a soft click. Inside, the monitors came to life on their own. A single scan chair unfolded from the floor. He placed Viri onto it, her body still limp. A robotic voice whispered, "Vitals stable. Neural interference detected, initiating deep scan." Aaron stepped back as the machine surrounded her head in a soft ring of light. He crossed his arms tightly, staring at the live readings. Then, his own name appeared on the screen. Aaron Blake, cross-link detected, shared sync, 37%. His mouth went dry. "What the hell is happening to me?" he whispered. The AI voice responded calmly. "You are part of a hybrid sync event. Unknown classification. No historical match." Aaron shook his head. "There were other subjects, weren't there?" "Before me. Access restricted." The AI replied. "Override it," he said. Stepping forward, the system hesitated, then blinked. "Override accepted." Displaying experimental logs, a video loaded on the side screen. It showed a different lab. Older, dirtier. A male researcher stood next to another alien girl, different from Viri, but clearly related. She smiled sweetly at him, but her eyes were wrong, too still, too wide. The man spoke. "She's beautiful, like an angel." Then the footage jumped. Seconds later, he was screaming, clawing at his head. Blood ran from his nose. And the girl just stood there, watching with glowing black eyes. The screen cut to black, then showed a list of names, all marked the same way. Subject, deceased, cause, cognitive collapse. Aaron turned away from the screen, his stomach twisting. He looked at Viri, who now stirred slightly. Her eyes fluttered. Open, soft silver again. "I saw them," he said quietly. "The others who didn't survive?" She nodded slowly, no surprise in her expression. "I was never supposed to connect," she whispered. "They forced it before I was ready." "But it's happening again," he said. "With me? Yes," she replied, "but this time I'm not alone inside." He didn't understand what she meant until she reached out and touched his temple. For a second, he was no longer in the lab. He was standing on a massive field under a violet sky. Floating cities moved above, and the ground below pulsed with strange light. In front of him stood 3 figures. One male, one female, one unformed. They looked like statues, but they moved, breathing, blinking. The middle one turned to him and spoke. "Human, you are the first to reach the threshold without breaking." Then it all vanished. He gasped, falling back, shaking. "What was that?" he shouted. Viri was breathing harder now, her hand still in the air. "That was the beginning," she said, of the truth. Before he could say more, a loud metallic knock echoed through the hallway outside. Someone or something was approaching. Viri sat up slowly, her glow returning, stronger this time. "They're coming to shut us down," she said. They don't want the merge to finish. Aaron stood between her and the door, fists clenched. I won't let them take you, he said, surprising even himself. Vera's eyes locked with his. Then you must decide, she said softly, who you are willing to become. The lights in the lab flickered again. The scan chair deactivated with a click. Outside, the steps stopped. Then the door handle turned slow, deliberate, and the room went still, both of them waiting together for what would enter next. The door opened slowly, but no one entered. The hallway beyond was empty. Yet something about it felt wrong. Aaron could feel pressure on the air, like a sound just below hearing. Vera stood beside him now, her shoulders tense, eyes glowing. Faint silver. Then, without warning, every light in the facility turned red. A voice crackled over the comm system. Deep and distorted, contain the anomaly, or be consumed by it. Aaron's skin prickled. That wasn't the base AI. He whispered, "No," Vera said. That was him. Aaron turned to her sharply. "You mean the one inside you?" Vera nodded, her voice suddenly softer. "He doesn't belong to just me anymore." Suddenly, the walls began to change, not visually, but in feeling. The air felt thicker, the lights seemed slower. Aaron stepped into the hallway, heart racing. Down the corridor, the steel walls had begun to ripple, not melting, not bending, but breathing. He blinked twice, trying to clear his vision, but the ripple stayed, slow and steady. Pulsing like a heart, Vera followed, keeping close. "This facility is not in our control anymore," she said. "He is learning, stretching, testing the limits." "Of what can be reshaped?" Aaron whispered. "He can change matter?" Vera looked at him, and her expression was no longer calm. "Yes, and he's using your mind to do it." Aaron stopped walking. "What do you mean, my mind?" "You let him in," she said, "back in the lab, when you touched my thoughts." "I didn't know," Aaron said, trembling. "No one ever does," she replied. "Until it's too late." They reached the main research hall. Everything inside had changed. The computers were still there, but floating slightly above their desks. Chairs were upside down, but perfectly balanced in mid-air, and the screen at the front of the room showed no data, only a moving shape, a spiral, growing and shrinking, slowly, endlessly. Vera stared at it and whispered, "That's his eye, Aaron." Didn't want to believe it. He tried to step back, but couldn't. His feet stayed planted, like they were magnetized. The spiral on the screen pulsed again, and then a voice echoed across the room. Not from any speaker, not even from Vera, but from inside Aaron's own mind. "Human," it said, "you are not the first." "But you may be the last," Aaron screamed. Grabbing his head, the voice wasn't loud, but it was inside, pushing, pulling, peeling memories like pages from a book. He saw flashes his childhood, his first science award, the face of a girl he once loved, all swirling into the spiral like dust into a storm. "Stop," he whispered. "Please stop." Vera reached out, her hand glowing brightly. She touched his chest and spoke one word. "Anchor." The pressure lifted, just slightly. Aaron gasped. Stumbling back into her arms, "I can't do this," he said, tears forming in his eyes. "I'm not built for this." "You are," she said gently. "That's why it chose you." He looked at her, breathing hard. "You said it once." "To merge why? What does it want?" Vera looked toward the spiral, her glow dimming again. "It wants form, purpose. A body that can hold its shape, and I'm the container." Aaron asked bitterly. "No," she said. "You're the bridge." The spiral on the screen stopped. Spinning, it began to form a shape, a face. Not fully human, not fully alien. Its features shifted constantly, as if it couldn't decide what to be. Then it opened its mouth and spoke one final message. "Come to the core, or lose yourselves." Forever, the image vanished. The room went dark again. Viri turned to Aaron. "We don't have much time," she said. Aaron looked at his shaking hands, even in the darkness. He could see the faint outline of that spiral forming on his skin. He didn't know where this would lead, but something deep inside whispered that the real journey hadn't even begun yet. Aaron stood in the elevator shaft, though the elevator was gone. Viri had torn open the access panel, revealing a vertical drop wrapped in glowing strands of wire that pulsed like veins. The facility structure was changing alive in a way no metal ever should be. "This wasn't part of the blueprint," Aaron muttered, staring at the strange organic cables. "It's no longer a structure." Viri replied, her voice low. "It's becoming him." He stared into the shaft, unsure if it was a path down or a trap. But the whisper inside his mind returned, calmer this time. "Come closer," it said. "You're almost ready." Aaron gritted his teeth. "I don't want to be ready," he snapped. Viri looked at him with something that might have been sorrow. "You were chosen before you ever met me," she said. "You think this is chance?" He didn't answer. He just grabbed a support cable and began to climb down. Each level he passed flickered with memories that weren't his. A classroom with 3 suns shining through the windows. A child speaking in symbols, not words. A mother, with glass-like skin, brushing his hair, but it wasn't his mother. And it wasn't his hair. They were memories of the other mind, seeping through him like water through cracks. By the time he reached the bottom, his hands were glowing faintly. Lines had appeared on his skin spiral circuits. Veins of light that pulsed with every breath. Viri dropped beside him, landing softly. "This is the core," she whispered, "the place where he first woke." The walls here were round, smooth, and almost soft. In the center was a raised platform like a cocoon cracked open from within. Aaron approached it slowly. He placed his hand on its edge. The moment he touched it, the room responded. A wave of light surged across the floor, and the shape inside the cocoon began to form. Not flesh, not metal, something in between. The figure rising from the center looked almost human, but its face was unfinished, half-shifting eyes like mirrors. And when it opened its mouth, it spoke with both their voices, his and Viru's. As high seas and Viru's. "Merge point reached," it said, "stabilization possible." Aaron felt his knees weaken. "I don't know what I'm supposed to do," he said. The figure turned toward him. "You already did it," it said. "You survived me." Viri stepped forward, standing between Aaron and the shifting entity. "This is the real test," she said, not of strength, but of surrender. Aaron frowned. "You want me to give up?" She shook her head slowly. "No," she said. "To give in, not to lose yourself, but to become more than yourself." The entity raised its arm and pointed at Aaron. A beam of light shot forward. Touching his chest, he gasped, not from pain, but from memory. Everything from the past days poured into him at once. Every word, every touch, every fear, and something else, something ancient. The knowledge of what he could become if he stopped resisting. He stumbled, falling to his knees. His vision blurred. Not with tears, but with light. He saw stars being born, languages spoken without sound. He saw other failed subjects, not broken, but waiting. And he understood, they had not died. They had become part of the network. He looked up at Viri, his voice trembling. "If I go through with this, will I still be me?" Viri knelt beside him. "No," she said gently, "but you will be something better." The entity offered its hand. Still shifting, Aaron reached out, fingers trembling, and when their hands touched, everything around them exploded in light. He didn't scream, he just exhaled, as if releasing everything that had ever been heavy inside him. In that moment, he saw her, not Viri, but the part of her she had never shown. The third part, the male energy within, calm and ancient. They were not just voices, but memories, not just passengers. but builders. And now, Aaron was one of them. When the light faded, Aaron was no longer standing. He was floating not in space, not in air, but in something else. The walls of the core had vanished, replaced by stars moving slowly like breath. He looked down at his hands and saw patterns, glowing under the skin. Not tattoos, not symbols, but living memory. He wasn't human anymore, not fully, but he wasn't alien either. He was both. Viri appeared beside him, untouched, calm. Her silver eyes now had threads of blue and gold. She smiled faintly. "You didn't resist," she said. "You became." Aaron tried to speak, but his voice came out as thought. "What am I now?" "You are the third," she answered. "The bridge between minds, between forms, between futures." The stars around them began to pulse, then dissolve. He found himself back on solid ground, but not the lab, not the facility. This was a new place, wide and open, sky above, swirling with colors he couldn't name. There were other figures in the distance, some glowing, some fading, some with faces, some without. But all of them turned as one when Aaron took his first step forward. "Where are we?" he asked. Viri walked beside him, her steps leaving trails of light. "This is the route," she said, "the place where all minds meet before they divide." Aaron paused. "I don't understand." "You will," she said. "You're not just one anymore, you're many." And suddenly he could hear them, whispers from far away. Minds touching his without words. He saw flashes, other hybrids like him, on other worlds, waiting, others like Viri. Unfinished, searching, and something older, in the dark, watching. Aaron turned toward the presence. It was massive, silent, and waiting. "Is that him?" he asked. Viri nodded. "That's the one who woke inside me," she said. "The source?" The question with no answer. Aaron stepped closer to the presence. It didn't move, didn't speak, but it allowed him near, inside. He saw its core shattered, incomplete. "Why me?" Aaron asked. And finally, the answer came not in words, but in feeling. Because Aaron had survived pain, because he had questioned without running, because he had touched the unknown and stayed. "You're the first to look into him, and not break," Viri whispered. Aaron reached forward, hand glowing, and touched the dark core. In that moment, everything fractured. He saw the first attempt, the first hybrid, burned alive by knowledge. He saw the second, swallowed by its own mind. He saw Viri, grown in a cold lab, her body built around silence and secrets. He saw himself small, angry, afraid, and then he saw the third, the shape of a new being. Not a god, not a weapon, but a path. When he opened his eyes again, he was back in the lab. But it was different now, alive, calm, almost breathing with him. Viri stood at the console, smiling. "You stabilized him," she said. "You gave him shape." Aaron stood slowly. The spiral marks on his skin were gone, but something deeper had replaced them. He no longer felt like one voice, but a quiet chorus. "What happens now?" he asked. Viri touched the console. "Now we leave," she said. "There are others who need what we've become." As they walked through the base, doors opened on their own. No alarms, no weapons, no resistance. The AI spoke one last time. Its voice different, softer. "Goodbye, Human Prime," it said. Aaron paused. "Human Prime," he echoed. "You're the first of your kind," Viri said, "but not the last." They stepped outside into a new dawn. Above them, the sky shimmered with strange stars, and far in the distance, a signal pulsed. A call answered. Aaron looked at Viri, and for the first time she looked small, not weak, but peaceful, together. They walked into the future, two beings, one bond, and the beginning of something far greater than either could have imagined.